forest can be one scary place, especially in the middle of the night when it's pitch black and the monsters come out to play. In today's video, we'll be looking at a number of search and rescues gone wrong to a number of humanoid creatures caught lurking in the woods. So stick around for top 10 real scary stories from forest rangers part 2. Starting off this countdown, we have the missing hunter. In December of 2020, a 45-year-old hunter was deemed missing after not returning from an afternoon hunt. 2 rangers were sent out into the forest to go look for this man. All throughout the night on December 4th, the rangers looked for him. They found tracks and some personal items left by this hunter, but the hunter himself was nowhere to be found. Early in the morning, they were joined by 4 more rangers to help search through the thick and swampy forest. Just after 3:03 p.m., the hunter was found. Sadly, not alive. He was found in Shaker Mountain Wild Forest. The cause of death is still unknown. Everyone was hoping that this wasn't going to be the outcome. Sadly, what they feared the most came true. In our 9th spot today, we have the aliens. This forest ranger almost got beamed up by a damn UFO spacecraft. Sounds crazy, right? Let me explain. So it was the middle of the night and the ranger was in his cabin chilling when all of a sudden he heard this weird electronic sound coming from outside. He described it as a mixture of TV static and a high-pitched ringing sound. He followed the sound to the middle of the woods and all of a sudden he was surrounded by this bright blue light. He says it was so blinding that he could barely see. He looked up and swear he saw a big silver craft hovering above him. He was so scared he ran back to his cabin and locked himself inside. The light stayed in the spot in the woods for a couple of minutes before disappearing. So what is that? That for sure had to be aliens, right? Coming in at number 8, we have the creepy stranger. And if you guys are liking this video so far and want to see more spooky content, then smash that like button. One forest ranger told a time he was leading a trip to the top of Mount Sterling in North Carolina. He was with 8 middle school kids and 1 co-instructor. Once they reached the top of the mountain, they settled down for the night. He decided to spend the night in a hammock since it was so nice out. That night though, around 10:30 p.m., he saw something approach the campsite. As it got closer, he saw that it was a person. Now, they were in the middle of nowhere, so it was weird for people to be up there. Apparently, this person just stood there watching the camp for 30 minutes. And then he sat down under a tree facing the camp, just staring. The man stayed there until 3:30 a.m. That's when he got up, surveyed the camp one last time, and then left. Okay, what the heck? What was this dude doing? Was he waiting for the ranger to fall asleep so that he could attack? Was it even a human, or was it a humanoid creature disguising themselves as a human, okay? These are the questions that we need answers to, people. In our 7th spot, we have the humanoid creature. Speaking of humanoid creatures, the forest ranger in this next story might have really encountered one. This happened a number of years ago in Fishkill, New York. According to the ranger, the area that they were in was quite isolated in the woods. You have a bunch of cabins on top of a mountain, but each cabin is like half a mile apart from each other. One night at 1 a.m., he was cutting through the woods to get to his girlfriend's cabin when he heard a weird rustling coming from the woods. He was expecting it to be a bear or other creature, but what he saw was far more frightening. A 3-foot-tall humanoid creature jumped out of the bushes and just stared at him. It was standing on its 2 feet and it had 2 arms, but it definitely did not look like a person. He tried to get closer to get a better look at it, but that's when it took off. He said that the way that it ran was very odd. It was very mechanical moving and ran super fast. To this day, he still doesn't know what it is that he saw. So I'm gonna go with a lost house elf because his description just reminds me of Dobby from Harry Potter. In our 6th spot, we have the missing friends. This forest ranger shared the time he was sent out to look for a group of missing teens. They were out camping, but they never returned home. So this forest ranger and another went out in the general direction the teens were camping in. They were about 35 kilometers deep into the woods when they started noticing some odd things, like sticks carved like spears sticking out of the ground, creepy things carved into trees, and stuffed animals hanging by nooses up in the trees. Everything was freshly carved, meaning someone had just been there and done that. So that means they were lurking around there somewhere close. They kept on hiking until it was dark and settled down until the next day. That next morning, they noticed a bunch of ripped clothing and shoe prints. They thought, okay, maybe the group of teens were nearby, but just then, they got a call on the radio saying that the teens had been found. So now, here's what he's wondering. Who did the ripped clothing and footprints belong to? And who created that creepy, weird shrine they encountered the day before? Coming in at number 5, we have the Lost Campers. A couple of years ago, this forest ranger was out practicing winter climbing when he came across a tent in the middle of nowhere. He got closer to it and found it had been ripped open, and it was badly faded from the sun. He crawled inside and found the typical camping stuff: sleeping bag, clothes, dried food, etc. But he also found a newspaper in there dated from 5 years ago. This tent had been up there for 5 years. Who knows what happened to whoever was staying in there? Isn't that creepy? Moving on at number 4, we have the witch. According to this user, his grandfather used to be the equivalent to a mountain ranger down in Mexico. Well, one night he was out patrolling when he heard the sounds of a baby crying. He looked around but couldn't see anything, so he followed the sound of the crying. This is when it gets wild, people. He's walking towards the sound when all of a sudden something flies up into the air and then towards the mountains. He is adamant that it was a witch. He panicked and ran the opposite direction and got in his car and got out of there as fast as he could. Smart man. Coming in at number 3, we have the cage. Okay, this one is super freaky, but a forest ranger was out patrolling the area when they came across a big cage with a full-sized mattress in it. The cage also had a container for water and some canned food, as if they were keeping a person captive inside. Yeah, not an animal, a human. The worst part, the mattress was heavily stained with what looked like blood. Dude, what the heck? Who was in that cage and what happened to them and why were they being held captive? I need to know. In our second spot today, we have the search and rescue. This next park ranger was called in to help locate a missing man in his 20s. He had gone hiking and never returned home. Now, when he got the call about this disappearance, it was nighttime, which makes everything a whole lot harder, but also creepier. So he hiked a few miles and then set up camp when it became really late. At around 2 a.m., he woke up to go to the bathroom when he saw a moving light at the base of a cliff. It looked like someone was flashing their flashlight at him. So the next morning, he set off in that direction. As soon as they got there, they saw the missing man's body at the end of the cliff. He had fallen 60 feet down. Here's the creepy part. The coroner arrived and said that the man had been dead there for 48 hours. So, who was out there shining that flashlight then? Did somebody dispose of his body off of the cliff that night? Or was it the man's ghost helping the rangers locate his body? Either way, I got the chills. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the thumb. This story, by far, is the scariest one on this list, but it's also the shortest one. Posted on Reddit by user Homeless Homie, he said, and I quote, "I saw a human thumb nailed to a tree." That one sentence is chilling. For starters, whose thumb does that belong to? Where is that person? What happened? And then who nailed his thumb to the tree? Okay, that is so unnerving and unsettling. And that's all the details he left us with, so we don't know if they ever solved this creepy mystery. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let me know in the comments below which one of these stories creeped you out the most. And now, speaking of comments, let's move on to our comment shout out portion. I'll be shouting out comments from the video, Top 10 Real Scary Stories from Forest Rangers, Part 1. Mr. Fister commented, no pictures or videos. So we do include pictures or videos, but if these are stories, the person that posted the stories don't have the pictures and videos, so then we can't post pictures or videos. Because I saw this in a lot of people commented this, being like, where's the evidence? Where's the photos and videos? Well, dude, if the storytellers didn't take photos of it, then we personally don't have it. So it's not our fault. Blame them, okay? Nabin M commented, I only watched this scary video because of her. She's so beautiful and love the way she talks. Oh, well, thank you so much. Love you, Nabin. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. Marsana Young commented, yup, there are non-human entities throughout the woods. I would suggest people not effing go in there. I mean, if you're camping, that's fine. Oh, but then also, you know, movies like Friday the 13th just make me not want to camp, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, on that positive note, that's all the comments I'm going to be shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see ya.